Hello, I just wanted to do a really quick video within this Facebook group, which is predominantly for those who tutor, but obviously assessors are in it as well, for that, because so often I get asked in the DITAS Mastermind membership about, and I see posts on forums, etc., about what the best phonic program is to use. The answer to that is really that there isn't a best program. They all have strengths and weaknesses. And they maybe have their order in a different way. So, for example, Kelly and Phillips has got a very different order to Alpha to Omega. And there's obviously other programs as well, but they are the two that most people use for that. And as you become more established and experienced as a tutor, you'll begin to realise that you don't have to follow one of these programs to the T. You don't have to follow it religiously, because when you're on a training course, and I used to be a level 5 training provider, we need to give you structure. We need to give you something to follow. So following a program absolutely exactly as it is makes it easier for you whilst you're training and us when we're marking your work. But the needs of the student have to come first. So, for example, to give you an example with Alpha to Omega, here we have a placement test at the start. Now, Alpha to Omega was first written in 1970, so quite a long time ago. And the placement test that we first go through covers stage 1 of Alpha to Omega. And when I was a training provider, we actually adapted the placement test slightly because we need to keep up with current trends. And here's the placement test that you can see here. And you'll see that it goes through the basics of CVC work, and then it goes on to consonant blends, which we don't always have to teach. Depends if the student can hear the difference. So, for example, if we're going to teach trip, can they hear t, r, I, p, or do we need to teach it as onset and rhyme, tr, ip? So that would be based on the student. You might skip that if they can hear them. Then it talks about triple blends, and then it goes on to assimilation. So pinch, jump, those sounds, hand. Again, sometimes you need to teach that as onset and rhyme. Other times you can teach it as individual sounds if they can process and hear and discriminate those sounds, and so forth. And then point number 8 is R and charm, storm and serve. Point number 9 goes on to the W rules. So is point number 11. The W rules are really hard for students because they are rules, and rules are harder than sounding out with phonics. So sometimes teaching words like what can be taught as a high frequency word. So we have to judge whether at this point in the programme that is the most pressing and important thing to cover. So we used to miss out the W rules. And then later on it goes on to quite further down, point number 23 is soft C. Again, another rule, it's quite hard. And you've got to judge how many words there are, how useful it is. So are there a lot of words made up with these rules? An example, coming back a little bit to step 5, is triple blends. Well, actually, there's not that many triple blends. So spending several weeks on triple blends wouldn't be time productive. So you need to address that. In Alpha to Omega, stage 2 starts with the vowel digraphs, and I think that's much more useful as well. They've obviously got to have covered the basic vowel sounds, short vowels, etc. first, but maybe not W rules, maybe not soft C at this point. So you can carry those over to later on. So you adjust it for the student that you're working with, and that's what's important. Don't feel you have to stick to the exact sequence. What you do have to remember is if you are changing the sequence, you don't, in your dictation, expect them to spell a word with a sound you haven't yet covered. So to give you an example, cheese. If you're teaching ch, it's quite an early sound. You'll be teaching chum, chop, much. You wouldn't be giving them the word cheese in your dictation because EE is usually a later pattern that you would teach as well. So just consider that when working on your phonic programs. An interesting book, and this is, I don't know, I think it was old when I started 30 years ago, from there. I'm just trying to see what the actual year was. Oh no, it wasn't. It's 2002, so 24 years, that's when it was published. I started teaching in 1996, dyslexia, so a little bit later. And it's called Tackling Dyslexia. I don't know if it's still available, but you see that it's got this wheel here, and I can take a copy and add it to this video on the Facebook page. And what this says is, the programme is arranged around a central hub in circles. The most basic or core work is at the centre. Work of gradually increasing difficulty is shown on the circles as they move away from the hub. Observing the sequence of work as it moves outwards should help to ensure a programme that moves in a structured way. From easier to more difficult, the circles are cut through by a number of spokes. These show more general principles underlying spelling such as suffixing rules, soft C and soft G, and other aspects of work such as grammar and handwriting. The spokes link the topics in the circles and offer the teacher a route from one to the other. Teachers working with older pupils can take different routes through the spelling topics while still keeping a coherent structure of work. The basic material shown here, which is saying it's basic materials, is shown as linear chart on page 9. I don't know what their linear chart on page 9 is. Okay, so I'm sure that you can't see this very well, but I will add these as documents or files. And then there again is the circle. So my message is don't feel you've got to stick entirely to the sequence of a programme. Work what's important for that student. Do follow a logical sequence. Something like that's great because it gives you that structure. But don't get hung up on the next point is X point and I've got to teach that point if it's not relevant at that point in time, or if you feel it's too complex, like I would teaching the W rules early on to a student that's only just learnt short vowel sounds and then the AR, ER sound, then W rules. Seems far too early for me. Okay, please drop any comments you've got in the video. Don't forget, I've run training courses for assessors and tutors. Have a look at my website, Training? No, it's not. Dyslexia Training. I forgot my own website. Dyslexia. Ditto Training is my course. Is my name. Dyslexiatraining.net for that, and I also have the DITAS Mastermind membership as well, which is great for assessors and tutors alike. Thank you. Bye bye.